Welcome to the Shudder. Stories of the Navajo Skinwalker go back as far as any other native oral tradition, though it's not spoken of usually as part of a fable or myth, but as part of a history. So it's not surprising when you hear the reactions of people that have experiences like the one you're about to hear. My father owns a small delivery service that operates out of Farmington, New Mexico. We mostly deliver small packages out to the middle of nowhere that are too much of a hassle for the larger delivery companies to bother with. My dad is the only employee, and we have a few pickups and a trailer. One day, we get a delivery out to Window Rock, Arizona, on the Navajo reservation about 2 hours from Farmington. My dad gets the call for the job while he's chilling with his Navajo friend Travis and his girlfriend. Travis mentions how he's got family in Window Rock that he hasn't seen in ages and suggests they go with him. I was about 6 or 7 then, and it was the summertime, so Dad decides we'll go down together. He can do his delivery really quick, then while Travis sees his family, we can go check out the Window Rock. It's a big rock face with a large hole in it that goes to the other side. It's pretty cool. We had to convoy in separate trucks since my dad was loaded down with freight. We decided to bring along some walkie-talkies so we could communicate with one another. We spent our time in Window Rock. Everything was generally uneventful, and we started heading home along the old highway with Travis and his girlfriend in their truck behind us. I honestly don't remember most of the Window Rock trip, but this next part I can never forget. We were somewhere on the highway between the Window Rock and Gallup. It had just rained earlier in the day, and the road was kind of slick, so we were taking it pretty slow. On the left of the highway, there's nothing but sandstone cliffs, and on the right, there's a huge field separated from the road by a small barbed wire fence. We crest the top of the hill, and down at the bottom, we see what appears to be a very large dog sitting back on its haunches in the middle of the road, facing the cliffs. My dad calls over the radio. "Hey Trav, do you see that big dog?" Travis starts yelling back over the radio. "That is not a dog. Speed up right now and hit it." He sounds almost hysterical. He just keeps screaming, "Hit it, JJ. You have to hit it. Please, hit that thing right now." My dad starts to speed up, and as we get a little bit closer, I begin to see it a little more clearly. It's covered in this brown, wiry, matted hair that appears to have dried blood all over it. It's still facing the cliffs, but the moment our headlights hit it, it turns and looks at us, and it has a face. I don't know how else to describe it, other than a mix between a bear and a human's face. It looks twisted and distorted, and almost in pain. As we get closer to this thing, we start to realize it's actually extremely huge, and though it's still sitting on its haunches, it's about shoulder height with the hood of the truck. We get literally inches from it when it lets out this scream that sounds like someone screaming as their lungs are filling with water, and it leaps backward toward the field, landing just on our side of the barbed wire fence. Then with another leap, it was gone from sight. Travis comes over the radio again. "Holy crap, keep driving. We have to get out of here. We have to go faster." He kept repeating that last part. "We have to get out of here, and we have to go faster." Pretty soon, we are speeding like crazy, and just as we start to come near the outskirts of Gallup, we get pulled over. Travis pulls his truck over with us. Naturally, this makes the cop, a Navajo man himself, very on edge, and he immediately asks why Travis felt the need to pull over as well. Travis says, "We just saw a skinwalker a few miles back, and it's been following us." The officer immediately turns white, stammers something about a verbal warning, gets in his car, and takes off. We do the same. We didn't see anything else that night, but when we got home, Travis refused to let us leave without taking some kind of Navajo totem that was supposed to keep it away. I'm finding myself more and more taken with stories like this. Some of the ones that I find are not always based on nefarious actions. Apparently the name Skinwalker gets a bad rap because of the usual vindictive nature of the accounts. This next story comes to us from New England. Almost every time you hear a story of shadow people, it's never good, so I wouldn't expect anything different from this account. Back in the early 80s, my family lived in a large two-story house in Oakville, Connecticut. I was the oldest of four. Me, my two younger brothers, and baby sister were evenly spaced in age. I was 16, my brothers 14 and 12, and my baby sister 10. Dad worked away from home a lot, and Mom worked odd hours as a nurse in the local hospital. Of course, I was in charge when Mom and Dad were working. We all got along fairly well. We played games most nights when it was just us. We had all seen the Shadow Man at different times of the year, and I heard a few strange things, but could always rationalize it away. That is, until the weather got bad. It was rare, but when Mom and Dad were working during stormy weather, the activity was the worst. We'd hear footsteps in the attic and catch shadows moving quickly out of the corner of our eye from time to time. My sister saw them more than any of us. One night, we were playing cards during a particularly bad storm. The lightning and thunder came one after another as we sat at the table. We began hearing the loudest footsteps we had ever heard coming from the attic. We all just stared at one another when all of a sudden, the power went out. The lightning lit up the house like daylight. I told the others to go sit on the couch and I would get the lamp from the hall closet. As I made my way down the hall, I could feel the hairs on my neck and arms stand up. I started walking faster. I got to the end of the hall where the closet was, grabbed the lamp, and closed the door. As I was closing the door, I could hear footsteps coming up behind me. Thinking it was my oldest brother, James, I turned to tell him I had it and to go back. As I turned, lightning flashed and lit up a tall, dark figure standing just 5 feet away. I was petrified. It was standing in the hall, blocking my path back to the others. I screamed as loud as I could at it, then started yelling for it to go away. It looked like it was moving closer to me when I heard my brother James come running and calling out, "Mary!" He got to the hall and can see this thing standing there between us. He yelled at it, "Get out of here!" and started down the hall toward us. At that moment, between the flashes of lightning, this thing just vanished. I ran toward my brother and could see that he had a baseball bat in his hand. We ran back to the couch. I had dropped the lamp in the hall and we were too frightened to go get it. We all just sat there on the couch in the dark. Once in a while we could hear the loud footsteps moving through the house, and when lightning would flash, we could see the figure standing near a window or moving quickly around the kitchen and dining room. The power finally came back on around 1 a.m., but we still sat right there on that couch till Mom came home. We told her what we saw and heard. When Mom and I were alone, she told me she'd seen the shadow several times and knew before we moved in there that a man had committed suicide in the attic some years back. We still heard footsteps and saw the shadow now and then, but never stayed in the house by ourselves on stormy nights again. Kinda makes you wonder if the charged atmosphere gives these things a boost or something. Well, I hope you enjoyed those. If you did, give them a like and a share, and don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hope to see you here next time for the Shudder.